Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. In our previous class, we're discussing some qawa'id al-buyu'. We're discussing some qawa'id fi al-buyu', some principles related to the chapter of buying and selling. And from that we have seen al-aslu man'u ma yu'addi ila niza'i fi al-buyu'. The fundamental principle is that which anything that commonly leads to disputes is forbidden in the chapter of transactions. Is forbidden in the chapter of transactions. And we have seen the evidence for this from two aspects, in the general and in a specific aspect. And from the general aspect is that there is the fundamental principle of the obligation of being united and to not be divided. And the many evidences in the book and the sunnah with regards to that, and the principle that is well known. So therefore these aspects of buying and selling and these contracts, they're forbidden because they lead and are a means to violating that principle, bringing ills and hard feelings into the hearts, and therefore bringing separation and dissension in the ranks of the Muslims, which is forbidden, forbidden. And if something is forbidden, that which leads to it likewise is forbidden. And as for the other aspect, and that was from the detailed evidences that have come in the sunnah, clarifying certain aspects of forbidden transactions. And from the clear evidences with regards to that is that which is collected by Imam Muslim from the hadith of Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, anna an-nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam naha an bay' al-hasati wa an bay' al-gharar, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he forbade the selling of al-hasat and the selling of gharar, any meaning the business transaction. He forbade the transaction of al-hasat, any the stones, and likewise of al-gharar. We have seen the stones. We will take this inshaAllah. It has a number of interpretations from that. Is that a person, he will sell some land and he will say to the one who wants to purchase that, take this stone and throw it, and wherever it lands, then that amount of property is yours for such and such, so on and so forth. And there are other aspects of the interpretation of this narration likewise, any other means of this transaction other than that. We discuss them later, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The shahid that we need now, وَنَهَا أَنْ بَيْءِ الْغَرَارِ, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he forbade the transaction of Al-Gharar. In our previous class likewise we had taken the statement of Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala with regards to that. Review briefly. And he said, Al-Gharar ma lam yam husuluhu wa la yuqdar ala taslimihi aw la tu'raf haqiqatuhu wa miqdaruhu. That Al-Gharar is that which is not known if a person will be able to obtain it, or it's not known if one is able to deliver. And to hand over the item or the price of the item, that which the reality of it or its amount is unknown. All of this is considered gharar. Also we had taken the statement of Al-Kuttaab likewise, rahimahullah ta'ala, clarifying the intent from that, and he summarized and he said, وَجِمَعُهَا مَا دَخَلَ فِي الْمَقْصُودِ مِنْهُ الْجَهَلِ. And to summarize the issue of al-gharar is that which ignorance comes into the intent of the contract. That ignorance is found in the intent of the contract. What he means by the intent, maqsood al-bay' yani as-sil'ah wa al-thaman, or al-thaman wal-muthman, yani meaning the price and the item for sale. So if there is any ambiguities or anything is unclear with regards to the price or with regards to the item for sale, then now this is an aspect of gharar and it is forbidden. Also in our previous class we had began reading a statement from An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala in his explanation and commentary on Sahih Muslim, which is one of the most famous and well-known explanations of Sahih al-Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala. It's called Al-Minhaj fi Sharh Sahih Muslim Ibn al-Hajjaj rahimahumullah ta'ala. So in this explanation we mentioned, and he has actually those who are familiar with this explanation, in some portions he will just mention brief benefits, and in other portions he will he take his time and discuss issues in detail with a long wind. And in this particular topic he mentioned a lot of information, and we summarize from that which is suitable for our class. And he says rahimahullah ta'ala, وَأَمَا النَّهْيُ عَنْ بَيْءِ الْغَرَرِ فَهُوَ أَصْلٌ عَظِيمٌ مِنْ أُصُولِ كِتَابِ الْبُيُوعِ. As for the prohibition of the contract or the transaction of al-gharar, then this is a great fundamental from the fundamentals of the chapter of buying and selling. يَدْخُلُ فِيهِ مَسَائِلُ كَثِيرَةٌ غَيْرُ مُنْحَسِرَةٌ. And many issues are included in this prohibition, the issue of al-gharar and the issue of the prohibition of gharar that could not even be counted or numbered. And then he mentions examples, كَبَيْعِ الْآبِقِ, كَبَيْعِ الْآبِقِ. And this is something that you find the fuqaha mentioning often in this chapter about these affairs here of gharar. بَيْعِ الْآبِقِ وَالشَّارِدِ. These are the examples that they use, like selling a slave that has ran away, a slave that has ran away, or an animal, a camel that has ran away from its owner. These are all examples of gharar, selling an animal that has gotten loose and is lost and is running through the land freely, and the owner does not know where it went. This one is called al-jamal al-sharid, the one that has gotten loose and fled, and farra or haraba. So it's not allowed to sell that animal because there is gharar. This gharar is not, he does not know, the one who buys it, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to get his hands on it or not. And in this sense here, we're seeing that this type of transaction has a great resemblance to al-maysir, gambling. Because if a person, he had a camel, for example, and it got loose and he does not know where it's at, he woke up in the morning and the camel is gone. The camel is gone, nowhere to be seen. It's ran off in the desert. He does not know where it's at. If he could find somebody to buy it from him, he would sell it. He would probably sell it for half price or even less than that, because he's taken a great loss. He's not expecting to ever get it back. So if he gets anything for it, he'll be happy. So then he will find somebody who is a person who takes risks, a person who's known for taking risks. Even if maybe he's a tracker and he has some experience with finding lost animals, it's still not guaranteed that he will find it or not, or if he will find it alive or not. Maybe it was stolen, or maybe an animal got to it, or maybe it's dead. And no one knows the reality of this animal. So the one who will purchase it is somebody who's taking risks. And then if he actually found it, it's like he came up on a great treasure, great benefit for almost nothing. And this is exactly the issue of gambling. The issue of gambling is that a person who's taking chances. He's either going to win or lose. He's going to put his money in, and he's going to either win it all or lose it all at one time. Win it all or lose it all at one time. And he's not certain about this affair. So this is considered gharar, selling this. He says, al-ma'doom. Al-ma'doom, something that doesn't even exist. Wal-ma'doom, something that doesn't even exist. Wal-majhul, something that is unknown. To sell something that doesn't even exist. For example, like to sell the animal that this animal is going to give birth to, inshallah, and whenever it becomes older, for example, there's an issue that we discussed in narrations will come. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from the interpretation of this is that the Prophet forbade from selling the baby camel of the baby camel in the womb. So the baby camel in the womb, no doubt, is forbidden. We have seen this. But they would not only sometimes sell that, they would sell the baby camel of the baby camel in the womb. And meaning he'll pay the price now and expect to get his item after that camel, the first camel gives birth, and then that camel grows up and then is impregnated and then gives birth. That's the animal that he's purchasing that's not even existing now. So this is selling the ma'doom. You understand? That's something that's not even existing. Or the majhul, something that is unknown, like the one in the womb actually. And they know that it's pregnant, but they don't know. They don't know its shape or its size or its health. They don't know the true reality of that. So this is all from al-gharar, and it is forbidden. وَمَا لَا يَقْدِرُ عَلَى تَسْلِيمِهِ. And likewise that which one he does not have the ability to actually deliver. to actually deliver. So the first one is included in that. The first one was included in that as an example of that, the animal that has fled. And because a person he does not have the ability. وَمَا لَمْ يَتِمَّ مِلْكُ الْبَائِعِ عَلَيْهِ, that which the seller he does not yet have complete ownership over. And this one likewise is forbidden. It's considered from the aspect of gharar. وَبَيْعِ السَّمَكِ فِي الْمَاءِ الْكَثِيرِ, and selling the fish that is in a lot of water. In a lot of water. And the people of knowledge, they say al-ma' al-kathir, in a lot of water, like in the ocean or in a vast lake. This is forbidden. As for if somebody has already caught some fish, they have them in a small tank and they're selling them and the lights like this, like they do for fishermen, so on and so forth. They will catch them and then they'll have them in a small tank. They're right there at hand's reach. You can grab them very easily. So this one is definitely not included. What is intended is the fish in the sea, or the fish in the ocean, the fish in the lake. Any of the fish that are out there, a person he has not yet to even see them or to get his hands on them. And he's going to go fishing for them after the person buys them. This is forbidden. وَلَبَن فِي الضَّرَعِ, and also the milk in the udder, the milk that's actually in the animal. So while it's in the animal, you cannot sell it because you don't know how much is there or the quality of that. Maybe he will see the cow, maybe you can see that it's full. But it's not allowed to purchase that until it comes out. And a person, he has it in his hand and he knows the amount. He knows the quality, all of these affairs. So whenever it's inside of the animal, you cannot sell it. Yani before it is actually milked. And then a person, he has his hands on it. وَبَيْعِ الْحَمَلِ فِي الْبَطْنِ, and also selling the baby, the fetus in the womb of the animal. We discussed that. وَبَيْعِ بَعْضِ السُّبْرَ مُبْهَمًا, and selling some of the subra when it's unknown. The subra is a type of selling. They'll have the food stacked in a pile. Sometimes they will do this. And they'll have, for example, a pile of tomatoes or a pile of this or that. And they'll sell the whole thing like that without weighing it. So this is in general, this is an aspect that is allowed. But if there's issues that are unknown, then it becomes an issue. وَبَيْعْ ثَوْبٍ مِّن ثِيَابٍ أَوْ شَاةٍ مِّن شِيَاءٍ, to sell a garment from the garments or a sheep from the sheeps. We discussed this yesterday. The example that we made was, I'll sell you a car. Any car from the cars. Or this is the example here. I'll sell you a garment from the garments. I'll sell you a thobe. You like thobes? I'll sell you one. He said, okay, I'll buy it. How much is it? He said, $25. He said, here you go. He doesn't know what kind of thobe it is. Maybe it's a white thobe, maybe it's a big thobe, maybe it's size 56, maybe it's size 60, maybe it's a small thobe, maybe it's old, maybe it's new, maybe he likes the style, maybe he doesn't, maybe it has buttons, maybe it doesn't, so on and so forth. You don't know what kind of thobe it is. So this is unknown. A sheep from the sheeps. I'll sell you a sheep. Which sheep? It has to be known. It has to be known. We discussed previously how something will be known, right? Either by seeing it, or seeing an example of it, or being described. So if you describe the animal, then now it's a different story. But as for just a sheep from the sheep with no description, without any knowledge, this is not lawful. Why? One word. Al-Gharar. Because of Al-Gharar. He says, وَنَظَائِرْ ذَلِكَ, and that which is similar to this. Then he says, كُلُّ هَذَا بَيْءٌ بَاطِلٌ لِأَنَّهُ غَرَرٌ مِنْ غَيْرِ حَاجَةٍ. And all of these examples here, these are invalid transactions. The word batil, with regards to whether something is considered valid and correct, and whether it's worship or whether it's not, and the fuqaha, they use these terms. They say sahih or they say batil. Or it has a sihha, or it has a butlan, or fasad. They say fasid likewise. So if the worship is considered correct, or if the contract is considered valid, they call it sahih, or that they describe it with a sihha. And if the worship is not correct and it's not accepted, then it's considered batil. Or fasid, and it's described with butlan or fasad. فَكُلُّ هَذَا بَيْءٌ بَاطِلٌ. He says all of these examples here and the likes of this, these are invalid transactions. لِأَنَّهُ غَرَرٌ مِنْ غَيْرِ حَاجَةٍ. Because it is gharar without any need. any need. So now he's going to discuss an issue. And that is that the general principle is that the gharar is forbidden. But he's saying here without need. So there's certain circumstances where there could be gharar, and there could be ambiguities, there could be things that are unknown, there might be a hazard there, but it's something that is light. It's something that's light and bearable, and it's something that is excused. And it's something that is excused because of the need of the particular circumstance and situation. He says, وَقَدْ يَحْتَمِلُ بَعْضُ الْغَرَرْ بَيْعًا. And some of the gharar could be, we could bear it. And in the contract, it could be allowed. إِذَا دَعَتْ إِلَيْهِ الْحَاجَةِ. If the need calls for it. And there's some aspects of gharar that could be permissible and they could be allowed in the contracts of buying and selling if the need calls for that. كَالْجَهْلِ بِأَسَاسِ الدَّارِ. كَالْجَهْلِ بِأَسَاسِ الدَّارِ. Like not having knowledge or being aware of the foundation of the home. Of the foundation of a home. A person, he wants to buy a new house. Is he able to see the foundation? Is he able to look at the foundation? Where's the foundation of the home? It's underground. The foundation of the home is underground. So we wouldn't tell him before you can buy the house, you have to dig up the foundation, you have to look underground, and you have to go down there and inspect all the corners and make sure that the foundation is good. This is a great hardship and difficulty. It's based upon the outward appearance of the home. So if the home generally looks good and the likes like this, then inshallah the foundation is solid, or the foundation is sound. So from this aspect, there's a need here to overlook the issue of gharar. And is there gharar there? What is gharar? Al-Jahala. Al-Jahala means there's something unknown. So is the true reality of the foundation known? No. How are you going to know about, how are you going to find out about that? What will you have to do? You have to dig up the house. You have to dig up the house, or maybe you have to break the floor, or you have to do this, you have to do that. All of this is not possible. And it's going to ruin the home, or cause much problems, or cost a lot of money, and the likes like this. And the origin is that the foundation is good. The origin is that the house is standing on top of a foundation that is proper. So therefore, this one is overlooked and not considered. وَكَمَا إِذَا بَاعَ الشَّاةِ الْحَامِلِ وَالَّتِي فِي ضَرْعِهَا لَبَنٍ. And also, if a person he was to sell a pregnant sheep, or a sheep that has milk in its udder, this one is allowed. You're not selling the baby, you're selling the sheep, and the sheep is pregnant. You pay the price for the sheep. The sheep costs this much money. Okay, he'll buy, and it's pregnant. If a person has said, I want to buy the baby in the sheep, the small calf, I want to buy that whenever it's born, can he do that? No, he cannot do that because he doesn't know what kind of animal it is. He doesn't know, is it going to be born alive or dead? He doesn't know the reality of that. That's unknown. So he can't purchase the calf inside the womb. You understand? But he can buy the mother while she's pregnant. Although he doesn't know what's in the womb. So now it's allowed. He's purchasing that which is in the womb because it's part of the mother. So here the people of knowledge, they say يجوز تبعا ما لا يجوز ابتداء. It's allowed for something that's in continuation is allowed, whenever to begin something is not allowed. And initially to buy the animal in the womb is not allowed. But since you're buying the mother and the animal is there, it's allowed. You understand? So it's not allowed to buy the animal in the womb itself. But if you buy the mother while she's pregnant, this is allowed. So there's gharar here, whether the calf is going to be born, whether it's not going to be born. But this is all overlooked here. Overlooked here. Likewise, the one that has milk in the udder as well. So you purchase it. You want to purchase this animal for this much or that much. This is allowed for you. The milk that is there, of course, once he purchases it, is his. So if it's a lot or not, this is on him. There are issues related to this that will come, inshallah. So he says, فَإِنُّ يُصِحُ الْبَيْء. So all of these affairs here and the likes of them, these examples here, the contract is considered valid. لأن الأساس تابع للظاهر من الدار ولأن الحاجة تدعو إليه فإنه لا يمكن رؤيته. All of this is considered correct and valid because the foundation is following with what is apparent from the house. and in accordance to what is apparent from the house, and because there's a need calling to overlook the unknown aspects or the unknown factors of the foundation, because it's not possible to see it. وَكَذَا الْقَوْلُ فِي حَمْلِ الشَّاةِ وَلَبَنِهَا. And this is the same thing that we say about the pregnant sheep and its milk. وكذلك أجمع المسلمين على جواز أشياء فيها غرر حقير منها. And likewise the Muslims, they have a consensus over the permissibility of some things that have gharar in them, but it's light gharar حقير يعني يسير. غرر حقير يعني غرر يسير, it's light gharar. And again, it's something that in reality cannot be avoided. He says منها أنهم أجمعوا على صحة بيع الجبة المحشوة. الجبة المحشوة, that they have a consensus that it's valid to sell a garment that is stuffed. A stuffed, the jubba is like a thobe with buttons all the way down. With the button has a split all the way down. It's called a jubba. It's like this, but it goes all the way down. You understand? So you open it up. So maybe it will be stuffed with wool, or with feathers, or with some kind of stuffing. You understand? For warmth. For warmth. So they say that this is permissible. Can you see the stuffing? Can you see the stuffing? Would it be said, oh, you have to cut it open and look at the stuffing? No, because then you're going to ruin the jubba. You're going to ruin the jubba. So there's a consensus about this. So similar, we say like the same thing, like jackets that we have today, they have stuffing in it, and like pillows and other things that are made, and they have stuffing inside of them for comfort or for warmth and the likes like this. This part here is unknown. This part here is unknown, but this unknown factor here is something light, and it cannot be avoided, so therefore it's overlooked. So therefore it is overlooked. He says وَلَوْ بِيعَ حَشْوُهَا بِانْفِرَادِهِ لَمْ يَجُوزْ. And that it's allowed to sell this jubba like this, that's stuffed, even if a person didn't see the stuffing. And also there's a consensus that if a person were to sell the stuffing by itself, it's not allowed. The stuffing inside the coat. And if you have stuffing, you sell it for people who make coats, that's one thing. But if you sell the stuffing inside the coat, I'll sell you the wool inside the coat. This one's not allowed. Why? Gharar. What's the difference? It's the same thing, right? Same thing as selling because the camel and the baby. You can't buy the baby, but you can buy the camel with the baby. You can't sell the baby, but you can sell the camel while it's pregnant. So now you're selling the camel and the baby, but not the baby itself, or the baby's following along in the contract with its mother. So this one is allowed. As for the other one, it's not allowed. You understand? So to sell the coat that's stuffed with feathers, with downing, and the likes like this, or with other type of stuffing, this is allowed. But if a person would say, I'll sell you the stuffing inside that coat, now this is not allowed. You understand? So to sell the stuffing along with selling the coat is allowed, but to sell the stuffing itself is not allowed because of Al-Gharar. So these are examples. If we understand these examples, then as we've seen before, that learning these principles will help us and summarize for us many aspects. So maybe there are transactions that we're not aware of now, or issues that we're not able to count and to enumerate, like he said. But whenever we're moving through life and things come up, now we will say, oh, wait, this is like selling like this or like that. And this is that principle that we learned here. This is the same example. So we learn in this manner. So then likewise he says, وَأَجْمَعُوا عَلَى جَوَازِ إِجَارَةِ الدَّارِ وَالدَّابَّةِ وَالثَّوْبِ وَنَحْوِ ذَلِكَ شَهْرًا. And there's also a consensus that it's permissible to rent a home or an animal or a garment and the likes of this for a month. مع أن الشهر قد يكون 30 يوما وقد يكون 29 يوما. Along with the fact that a month may be 30 days and it may be 29 days. This is something that's known. A month maybe is 30 days or maybe it's 29 days. So a person, he will say, I'll rent you the house for a month. He'll say, okay, for this much money. He'll say, okay, I'll take it. This is allowed. There's a consensus he's mentioning about this. Along with the fact that it's not known. Would it be 29 or 30 days? So here there's gharar. but it is haqir or yasir. It's light. It's light. It's something that's commonly overlooked, and it's not going to cause a problem. It's not going to cause a problem. So it's known it's either going to be 29 or 30. So if it's 29, then he rented it for 29 days. If it's 30, then he has 30 days. He has 30 days. So all of these are things that there's a consensus with regards to the fact that it's valid and permissible. And he says, وَأَجْمَعُوا عَلَى بُطْلَانِ بَيْءِ الْجِنَّةِ فِي الْبُطُونِ وَالطَّيْرِ فِي الْهَوَاءِ. He says, and there's a consensus that selling the animals in the wombs is invalid. There's a consensus of that the fact that it's invalid. Or likewise selling the birds in the air. And the birds in the air outside. So I'll show you that bird in the tree over there. Like that. There's a consensus that transaction is invalid. It's invalid. It's not lawful. It's not proper. It's not correct. It's not good. It's not pleasing to Allah. When they say it's invalid, it's not accepted. It's not pleasing. It's not correct. It's not according to the legislation of Allah. It's not proper. It's not proper. If a person, he performed a transaction that is invalid, for example, we say he bought something. That thing that he has now is not his. You understand? Or if he sold something, that money that he got is not his. If the contract is considered invalid legislatively, maybe he does what he likes outward with it in the dunya, but in the deen, it's not his. And on the Day of Judgment, he'll be taken into account for that. You understand that? You understand that? So if somebody sold something haram, the money's haram. Can he do what he likes with the haram? No, it's haram. It's haram. Maybe he'll do what he likes in this dunya, but if he doesn't repent, he will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be taken into account for that. So likewise, if a person is buying and selling in manners that are invalid, manners that are impermissible, the contract is not proper, now he's going to bring it to his possession and use freely things that do not belong to him, things that he's not allowed to use. So therefore, this is important to realize and understand. It's not just like, okay, well, it's not valid, khalas, I'll still use it. There's a day of resurrection, there's a day of judgment. A person is going to die and be taken into account. So this is from the wisdom of that. These are from the limits of Allah that we have to abide by. These are from the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have to abide by. He says, قال العلماء, the ulama, they say, مدار البطلان بسبب الغرر والصحة مع وجوده على ما ذكرناه، وهو أنه إذا دعت الحاجة إلى ارتكاب الغرر ولا يمكن الاحتراز عنه إلا بمشقة وكان الغرر حقيرا جاز البيع وإلا فلا. So the people of knowledge, they mentioned that whether the contract will be considered invalid or valid because of al-gharar, and if it's there, is according to what we mentioned. And he says, and that is that if there's a need to perpetrate that, and there's a need to do the contract along with the presence of the gharar, if there's a need there for that, meaning it cannot be avoided. There's no way to go around it or to avoid it. There's no way to go around it or to avoid it, and it's very difficult to avoid. And the fact that it's considered light. In this manner, it will be considered permissible. If there's gharar, and the contract found in this manner, then it will be considered permissible, and if not, then it is not permissible. And if it is not, then it is not permissible. There's another principle that we discuss. The people of knowledge, they say, وَمِنْ قَوَاعِدِ الْبُيُوعِ, and from the principles in buying and selling, al-aslu man'u al-darar fil buyu'. The fundamental principle likewise is that it's forbidden to bring harm in the business contracts. Any harm is forbidden. And this is from the beauty of our religion. Alhamdulillah. أَنَا الضَّرَرْ مَرْفُوعٌ وَلَا يَجُوزُ. That harming oneself or others is not allowed and not permissible. It's not allowed to harm oneself nor to harm others in the deen of Allah سبحانه وتعالى. أي القاعدة المستمرة أن ما يؤدي إلى الضرر بأحد العاقدين أو بالناس يمنع في البيوع ولا يجوز ولا يصح. So the principle here, the asl, with regards to the selling, is that it's forbidden and not allowed to harm others. So this means that the general principle that anything that leads to harming one of the two parties or both of them, or the people in general, harming the buyer or the seller, if the contract is going to lead to harm, going to lead to the buyer or the seller being harmed, or the people in society being harmed because of the contract likewise, because of the contract likewise, then it is forbidden. It's not permissible, nor is it correct. Nor is it correct. So maybe there's a contract that the buyer, it will harm him. It will harm him, or the seller, or the seller, the buyer or the seller. It will harm one of them, or it will not harm them, but it will harm the people. It will harm the people. There are aspects that are forbidden, so that the people who come to the market are not harmed. The people who come to the market, and do business themselves likewise, are not harmed. So the people of knowledge, they mentioned that this is a great principle in general. We're discussing now in the chapter of buying and selling, but in reality, the prohibition of al-darar is from the great fundamentals of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. القاعدة الشرعية العامة أن الضرر يجب دفعه قبل وقوعه ويجب رفعه بعد وقوعه. القاعدة الشرعية العامة أن الضرر يجب دفعه قبل وقوعه ويجب رفعه بعد وقوعه. So the general legislative principle is that harm, it must be repelled and prevented before it occurs, and if it occurs, then it must be removed. Or lightened. It must be removed or lightened. And this is from the great principles of fiqh. And there are principles known as al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya. Al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya. They're the fiqh principles. The fiqh principles, and there are many of them. But there are 5 that are considered al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya al-Kubra. The major principles of fiqh. The major principles of fiqh. And there are 5. Al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya al-Khams al-Kubra, the 5 major fiqh principles. And from them, al-darar yuzal. Al-darar yuzal. That harm, it must be removed. That harm, it must be removed. And to mention them briefly, the first one is al-umur bimaqasidiha. Al-umur bimaqasidiha. The things, they're based upon their intentions. And the second one, al-yaqeen la yazulu bishak. Al-yaqeen la yazulu bishak. That certainty is not removed by doubt. And the third one, al-mashaqqatu tajribu al-taysir. Al-mashaqqatu tajribu al-taysir. That hardship brings about ease. And the fourth one is the one we're discussing, al-darar yuzal. That harm, it must be removed. And the fifth is al-adatu muhakkama. Al-adatu muhakkama. That the customs are used to determine the rulings. The customs are considered in determining the rulings. In each one of these principles, they have many issues related to them. That's why they're called principles or foundations. So whenever you learn them, you see that so many aspects of life and religious rulings and rulings with regards to worship, as well as with regards to contracts and transactions, they all come back to the likes of these principles. So from these major principles, al-darar yuzal. Al-darar yuzal. And it's been collected by Ibn Majah from the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit radiyallahu anhu, anna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qada an la darar wa la dhirar. Qada an la darar wa la dhirar. That the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he has decreed and he legislated, and by permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that there should be no harm nor reciprocating harm. There should be no harm nor reciprocating harm. It's not allowed for a person to harm himself, and it's not allowed for him to harm others, and it's not allowed for him to harm someone because they harmed him. To harm someone in retaliation. So there are many examples of this principle. This is a general principle in the legislation in entirety. It's a general principle in the legislation in entirety. But from the issues related to our discussion, the discussion of the Kitab al-Buyu' Bay al-Hadir lil-Bad. Bay al-Hadir lil-Badi. That it's not allowed. We discussed many of these affairs are going to come in the narrations. We discussed them in more detail. It's not allowed for the one who is a resident to sell for the one who's coming from the outskirts. From the outskirts. وَتَلَقِّي الرُّكْبَانِ. These are all narrations here that are very well known and famous, and there are fundamental principles derived from them in this chapter. They're well known. يعني the issue of بيع الحاضر الباد. This one is well known. With تلقي الركبان. And a person, تلقي الركبان, is to go out and to catch the caravan before they reach the markets. And the outcomers are coming with the goods to catch them before they reach the markets. And from these narrations we've seen that not only is harm removed from the buyer and the seller, but likewise the people. So even if the buyer didn't miss out, but it's going to harm the people, then also it's forbidden. So maybe he will catch the people before they come and give them the price that they want, and he himself likewise will benefit and be happy, but now he's going to sit back and raise the prices on the people in the market, or to sell it slowly, or to wait till the prices go up, so on and so forth. And now the people are going to be harmed, as if he had let the caravan come as they had intended to sell to the people in the normal price, and the people in the markets could benefit. And Allah Azza wa Jalla yarzuqu ba'd an-nasi ba'da. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will in this manner provide for the people by them doing business with each other. So also al-ghish and tasriya, this is all included here. Al-ghish, to trick people or to deceive people, and to outwit people, to make them think something is good and it's not good, or to lie to them and deceive them. All of this is forbidden. What tasriya? At-tasriya, also this is a famous narration as well. Shat al-masarrat. Shat al-masarrat is at-tasriya is whenever they will tie up the udder. They'll tie up the udder for a day or two and let the milk build up. Let the milk build up in the udder of the sheep and the likes like this. In the sheep, they'll let the milk build up in the sheep, and then it will look like it's full of milk, and it's like a healthy sheep that's bringing lots of milk. But in reality, it's just been backed up for a few days, and maybe he will buy it and then use it 1 day and 2 days, and after that there's no milk, it's gone. After that there's no milk. And some sheeps, and they'll bring milk daily. They'll produce milk daily by the permission of others. They will not produce so much milk, so they'll tie the udder in this manner to make it look like it's a healthy and a good sheep for milk. But he will milk it 1 time and it will be good, 2 times it will be good, 3 times after that he's finished. After that it's empty. So he's been deceived. All of this is forbidden, and all of this is included here in this principle. There are many of these narrations, we discussed them inshallah in detail. Also what has been forbidden as well is an-najish. An-najish is whenever a person, he doesn't want to buy the item, but he'll come and pretend to buy the item in order to make the price higher for the one selling. In order to make the price higher for the one selling, or he wants to harm the person buying. So he'll go and act like he's buying to make the price higher, so that the person who's really buying is going to have to pay more, either to benefit the seller or to harm the one purchasing. This is all forbidden likewise. Also from the principles, من قواعد البيوع, from the principles in the chapter of buying and selling, we just mentioned them now and not discussed them, but just so that they're known. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد. العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني. للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. That what is considered in the contracts is the intentions and the meanings, not the words, and not the words themselves, not the words themselves. So what is intended, what is considered in the contracts is the person's intention. Is the person's intention. So for example, he said وهبتك هذه السيارة بخمسة آلاف. وهبتك هذه السيارة بخمسة آلاف. وهب means I give to you as a gift, right? Hiba is a gift, something that's free. So the word is to give something for free. But he says وهبتك هذه السيارة بخمسة آلاف. So the words that are being used is to give a gift, but the context and what is clear, what is intended is that he's selling it for $5,000. He said, I'll give you this car as a gift for $5,000. That's the meaning. I'll give you this car as a gift for $5,000. So is it a gift? Is the contract a gift contract? Or is it buying and selling? It's buying and selling. So do we consider the fact that he said he used the word gift, or do we consider the fact that what is intended and from the person, and likewise the clear meaning of the context is that it's a business transaction? Which one is considered? the words or the intention, the structure or the context and the meaning. The meaning and the context. The meaning and the context. This is what is considered here. There's many issues related to that. We just take this briefly now. Another principle, al-qusudu mu'athiratun fil uqud. Al-qusud mu'athiratun fil uqud. That the intentions, they have an effect on the contract. The intentions, they have an effect on the contract. It's been narrated by Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi, and likewise Ibn Majah. From the hadith of Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, ثَلَاثٌ جِدُّهُنَّ جِدٌّ وَهَزْلُهُنَّ jiddun. There are three things that when one is serious, they're serious, and when one's joking, they're serious. There's three things that whenever one's serious, they're serious, and if one is joking, they're serious. And many person in these three affairs cannot say, "Oh, I was just joking. I was just joking." And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "An-nikahu wa-talaqu wa-ruj'ah." A nikah in marriage, and a talaq in divorce, and likewise a ruj'ah, bringing her back after being divorced. There's no joking in these affairs. If someone said, "Ya Shaykh, I told my wife she's divorced, anti tariq, but I'm just joking," he said, "Jidduhunna jid, wa hazluhunna jid." Binas Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet, he mentioned directly that this one is considered serious. These issues here, the legislation showed great care and concern and preservation and protection of the honor of the people and their rights, especially with regards to the issue of marriage and divorce. Marriage and divorce, the honor and the rights here and the reputation, this is something that the legislation shows great protection for. So it's not allowed to joke around. Likewise marriage. If somebody says, "I'll marry my daughter for the dowry of such and such," I said, "Okay, let's go." "Oh, I was just joking." You can't go back on this affair. These things you don't play with. These things you don't play with. Or if he says that he takes her back, he divorced her, and then before the period is up, he says he take her back, and then "I'm just joking." No, you can't joke about these affairs. These things, a person cannot say that he's joking. It will not be accepted from him, and it's not considered if he claimed that. You understand? So, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that these three affairs, the joking is not considered, that means in other affairs they are considered. So if somebody said, "I'll sell you my car for $5," you said, "Okay, I'll do it." If somebody says, "I'll sell you my car for $500, a nice new car, Honda, for example, Honda, any 2000 something, I'll sell it to you for $500. How much you want to sell it for?" $500. It's okay, I'll buy it. So I'm just joking. I'm just joking. What's the ruling? He's joking. Al-qusud mu'athiratun fi al-uqud. Al-qusud mu'athiratun fi al-uqud. This is an example of that. So if somebody said, "I'll sell you this for this and this," and "Oh, I'm just joking," like that, then if he's truly joking, then it's not considered. It's not considered. Also from the principles, al-aslu fi shuruti al-ibahatu wa sihha. The fundamental principle with regards to setting conditions. Here we're talking about al-shurut al-ja'riyah, the conditions that the buyer or the seller sets. The original principle with regards to setting conditions, the buyer setting a condition or the seller setting a condition, the original understanding with regards to this, that is lawful and correct. That is lawful and correct, and the contract will be valid, and the contract will be valid, because setting a condition, if the buyer sets a condition or the seller, he sets a condition, this is from the affairs of ibadah or adah, from the affairs of adah, and the fundamental with regards to the affairs of adah is that is lawful. And so the shurut al-ja'riyah, they're from the adat, so therefore they're lawful. And likewise, it's an obligation for a person to fulfill his oaths. وَأَوْفُوا بِي al-uqud. So therefore, from them is that a person who makes a contract with a condition, it's incumbent for him to fulfill that. Like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "The Muslimun ala shurutihim." The Muslims, they are upon their conditions. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.